So this is my barn find. All in the garage now. A little rough. 1927 Dodge. Rat rod, hot rod, something like that. Just got to start figuring out where to start. Get a little light in here so it's not so dark. Okay, so I have the floor all in now. All welded on the inside as much as I'm going to do to it. Once I take the cab off to do all the final welding, I'll weld everything in solid from outside. Turned out okay. And now I'm going to move on to making the brake system putting in the master cylinder and a brake pedal. I don't want a master cylinder on the firewall, so it's going to sit right here, inside of here. So I'm going to make a 90-degree the brake pedal to fit up underneath the cowl. I'm not going to buy one. They want $200 for the cheapest one I could find, so I'm making my own. And how I figured it out is I took this piece of paper here and just drew on master cylinder where it's going to sit will be right here on the outside here, and then this here, the brake pedal will come up through here and will pull on this here like that and push into the master cylinder. So from that I come up, I had to find out what the ratio on this would be to get the right stroke on the master cylinder without having a lot of travel on the brake pedal. So I come up with 1 to 2. So for every inch this moves 2. So I got to move this like 3/4 of an inch to get my inch and quarter travel in the master cylinder. Now, with this here, this piece and this piece here have to be at 2 different levels. This has to be centered on the master cylinder. This has to be just above or just below the bottom of the master cylinder to get the right travel out of the pedal. So I've got to, now that I know how to make it work, I got to make all the parts and put it together. Okay, so I kind of have it figured out. It's basically going to go spacer. My tab going this way. Another spacer. Then the tab going this way into the master cylinder. And then I just need to make another spacer from here up to the top of the bracket. So I got all those parts all welded together. And this is how it's going to work. Brake pedal is going to be mounted in a bracket over here. It's going to be all one bracket, but so the brake pedal is actually going to pull on this and push the rod into the master cylinder. So the bracket I've got to make next will hold the master cylinder and this piece and the brake pedal. I'm going to do it all in one bracket. It has to be, this is 3/4 of an inch clearance here. That gives me enough clearance for the rod on the bottom of the bracket. I need 4 inches from the pivot at the top of the brake pedal to where this hooks onto. That'll give me 1 inch of travel in 3 inches of travel on the pedal. And then that will in turn give me just over 1.5 inches travel to the master cylinder. So I only need to have at the max 1.25 inches, because the cylinder bottoms out at 1.25 inches. So I'll have to put in some kind of stop so the pedal can't damage the master cylinder, but yet I'll still get full brake pedal. Okay, I'll get to work on the bracket and show you what I come up with. Okay, so I found these old seat brackets here. They actually came from the cargo van I took the seats out of. They were the bottom mounts for those little great bucket seats. Plenty thick enough metal. And now I'm just making up the box for the master cylinder. Okay, so this will be the swivel for the brakes. What I'm doing every time I have to put a joint in, because it's made up out of several pieces, I'm just gouging into the seams to make sure I get a good weld, because this is all 1/4 inch thick. This is 3/4 inch thick. Same with that piece there. So in order to be sure I have enough strength, I'm just gouging it in with a grinder and welding it up. Okay, so I got the bracket made up. So the brake pedal here swings, pulls on this arm, which pushes this lever in to the master cylinder. Now I still have to make up the levers, but that's minor. And I got to weld all this here bracket into the truck. Sorry. Everything in there is a little heavy duty, but it is the most important part of a vehicle. Okay, so it fits really, it's going to fit really well. But what I have to do, because the inside of the dash is where this piece here is going to mount, is kind of on an angle, it's not flat. I got to kick this up about not quite 1/4 of an inch up, so that it sits flat on the inside of the cowl above the dash. And then so that it just drops down flat. There won't be any spaces or anything. All I'm going to do is take a grinder, put a slight cut in a straight line, because I need it a little bit away from this piece on this end, and right here at this end. It's not a straight a 90-degree spot on the dash. It has a bit of a turn to it. So yeah, I'll go ahead, get that done. So what I'll do is just cut it with the grinder, bend it to where I want it, test fit it, then take the welder and weld the cut. I'll just cut like halfway through it so that I can bend it and then just weld it back up. Okay, so with the old GM type brake switch, as the brake pedal pulls away from the switch, it makes contact and turns the lights on. So what I've done is, when it actuates, I'm going to put another bracket inside. I'll do that once I have it in place. You step on the brake pedal, this little tab moves away, turns on the brake lights. So what I'll do is I'll just make a little bracket to go in here with the light switch in it, and the end of the light switch will sit against here, and as the brake pedal gets pressed, it'll open the close the switch to turn on the brake lights. Okay, so it's in. Now I got to put the dash back in, put the steering column in place, and then I've got some bends to do in the brake pedal itself to go around the steering column. Okay, so there's my brake pedal in. Lots of travel. Lots of clearance on the steering column. Still have to get a bolt for the one coupling at the top there so I could hook it onto the swivel. So, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, ring the bell, hit the like button, leave a comment, and share on Facebook and Instagram if you're on Instagram. Let everybody you know about it. Maybe they'll be interested in this kind of project.